In Philly, I worked for a chef from Alsace at the Union League of Philadelphia. Anyone here from Philly? Wow. Crazy. One? It's fun. I think I have like 7 people that work for me from Philadelphia. There's only one in the room. That's weird. Usually there's some Phillies fan making some snarky comment about the Orioles. Most days. It's nice baseball season's over right now. But I had a chance to work in an immense private club that has 19 dining rooms, doing sort of huge production things. We did Julie Nixon Eisenhower's wedding reception there for 800, which was kind of a crazy thing. The club is a block long, a good-sized city block long, a quarter block wide, and the kitchen runs the entire length on the ground floor, which is pretty crazy. And I had a chance to, I guess, I worked up my way out of the meat room, which was kind of fun, getting whole animals in and cutting them, and learning from like old Polish and German guys how to break them down. And then you go to the Alsace guy and he teaches you what to do with every single part of the animal. That was pretty interesting. But having a chance to go from that to learning something of a nouvelle cuisine with an Alsace twist with Jean-Pierre, who was slightly more tyrannical than anyone that I had worked with. He was very, very, very talented. He was a very large man. I mean, I'm 6 feet, maybe 200 pounds. He's like 6'7". He was probably pretty close to 300. And we kept a place on the wall clear for him to throw plates, just so he had a way to express himself without anyone getting hurt. And that was, has anyone here ever worked in a kitchen? No? So, you ever work in a kitchen that has a verbal call system? Okay, you're working on a station, you're responsible for X number of dishes, right? And let's say that there are 8 dishes on your station. So in sort of the modern world, a lot of places, that little ticket comes out of a computer printer near you, and it says, quail. And you put it on your board, and you make your quail, you put it in the window, no one bothers you. The first time I'd worked in Jean-Pierre's kitchen, he's going to scream the order. The captain's going to come in from the dining room. The captain is going to whisper the order to Jean-Pierre. There are 11 people cooking on the line for the main dining rooms. And he's going to stand there at the wheel in the middle of the line on the outside, and he is going to yell the order to the stations. And it may be, let's say it's a table of 8. That means 8 different first courses, 8 different middle courses sometimes, 8 different main courses, and so on and so forth. And so you would have these orders called to you. And he would expect that if you were making quail in your station, the quail, let's say it was in cocotte, it's like an 11-minute dish. You have without getting into a lot of detail, it's maybe an 11-minute dish. That means you better have that dish perfect in 11 minutes in that window, so it can be organized on trays with other items. And it's one thing in a small kitchen, and my restaurants are relatively large for restaurants, but we have substantial kitchens with 2, 3, 4 people working on different parts of stations. To have 11 different stations going with usually 1, 2, 3 people working on the stations, and you have to know these. You have to know the orders the entire time. They're calling them to you. So, Jean-Pierre, if you're busy, let's say you're doing 400 or 500 people for lunch and needs to be in a hurry, and most of the members of your club are millionaires and they're relatively impatient. This is the Philadelphia of the 1980s. It's an impatient joint. There's a lot of hollering going on. There's no speaking in the kitchen by anyone other than Jean-Pierre. And you may have 35, 40 things that you're trying to time out on your station alone. That, let's say there are 11 stations with 35 items. That means there are 350, 400 items coming up into the window in a sequence, which makes sense if you're going to handle 400 or 500 people at one time, right? That you're always producing certain things. But it's kind of a crazy machine that goes on. And it was the first time I'd been in kitchens that were small-ish, and you had 2 or 3 people that could really cook. But I'd never been on a line with, let everyone from that guy to that guy. And no, there was not one girl in that kitchen. Just weren't hired, that's the way that it was. And he was not a guy you did a lot of questioning of, or you just duck and the plate goes by, But everyone could cook, and everyone was kind of jamming on their station and putting things in the window. And I had a chance to do that for a couple of years. And at the same time, I had a job working for a very small private inn writers club at lunch. And we did a 7-course menu, one other fellow and myself, for 30 people every day. We went to market in the morning. Because I still love like talking to the farmers and seeing what was there and making the menu based on what was there. So it's one, I had a chance to learn great structure at one time and sort of, you know, mechanics of getting things out and doing things exactly the way that the chef wanted them. And I had a chance to work with one other fellow and do, you know, pretty creative, very market-driven stuff in another venue. You know, there was kind of, both were kind of pure experiences, which were interesting.